What's up, everybody? Thank you for connecting with me. I am Shakesha Divine, the Pretty Priestess, and this is Magical Monday on the Pretty Priestess podcast. I am doing something very special today. I'm going to connect us with a goddess that I was connected with a few years back. Very special to me. Very special to me. Very special connection that I have here, y'all. And so I'm definitely going to get with that. I wanted to give a quick shout out. My cousin's birthday, I shaded him. It passed the other day, and I think I forgot to give him a special shout out because that intro we got right there, that was some music that he had sent to me, like, cuz I think you go really dig this right here. And it was all day right there. And so I just really rocks with these mellow type of vibes and everything. And I want to thank him for really expanding my palette on music, because I was a true hip hop head, and that's where I stood. And thanks to him, like really opening me up to like Bob Marley and, you know what I'm saying, a lot of the jazz venues, and, just a lot of different sounds and everything that just helped me in expanding and really getting more out of my music experience and whatnot. So shout out and much love to my cousin. I shaded him out. I gotta tell y'all, let me go ahead with that. But I wanted to talk today about a very special goddess. I was connected with her a few years ago. This is a very special connection for me because this is definitely one of my energies. And we're going to talk about the goddess queen Sheba, who's also known as Bilquis. And you may know her from the Bible, from visiting Solomon, and you may know her from American Gods as Bilquis, Bilquis, not Kiko, Bilquis, Bilquis. Um, on the show, American Gods, you know how Hollywood likes to do it. So they had this goddess, a beautiful Black woman. She got worshiped through sexual energy. And when those individuals were enchanted by like her whole vibe, they were completely consumed by her when she had an orgasm, and she would just like consume a man through her from her vagina, vaginal, the JJ, whatever. I'm all out of sorts today because I was like really in meditation and really trying to make sure that I connected with her well enough to get this story from her perspective to you all so that we can get this and grow with it. And it's definitely been helping me out a bit. So when I was getting this goddess like a few years ago and everything, I was like, okay, so I did a little bit of research and everything, and I wasn't really that concerned with working with her so much. Today, whole nother other. Like she's been just showing up in some really powerful ways. I don't think I was really ready for that at that particular time. But today, perhaps, maybe so, I'm ready for this now. But yeah, she was worshipped through sexual energy and completely consumed folks through her vagina when she had an orgasm. That shit was gangster. If y'all didn't check out American Gods, y'all need to check that out. And then at the end, and and the way that they depicted her, of course, at first, initially, it looked like, what it was, you know what I'm saying? That Hollywood game they like to play, right? But then it shifted toward the end, at the end of the season, how she was no longer fulfilled by sexual consumption, and she began taking a new path. And that really like speaks to how we seek fulfillment, right? That sex, the material possession, you know what I'm saying? And then moved more into an energy of having that peace within and being fulfilled and having that self-love. And like I was telling you guys, like I received that connection like a few years ago, and it was very powerful. And that's what it was at that particular time. It was just that connection. Oh, okay, okay, I'll look into that. And then I began to notice that there were some similarities in this energy, but not enough for me to really make these connections. But when we look up her image, because this is a beautiful, beautiful melanated sister, a goddess, no doubt. But we'll look up her image and we'll see a white chick. Now they need to stop that. But you know how that shit goes, right? With the history and how that goes, where they take any prominent energies, gods, goddesses, however, and they will make those images, any image of righteousness, any image of power, any image of sovereignty, right, ends up being in a white image. And this is all like the root of white supremacy. So anything that you think is connected to righteousness got their face on it, right? Because they the ones writing the history at the end of the day. Serious mind fuck, makes folks feel like they less than. We already know that, but I had to go there. So when we see that image, whatever, if you see that, and I'm gonna say this too, this is the other part too. And this is why I decided to really try to focus more energy, because I was researching when I started getting the channel, the information in and everything. I started researching a lot more. And then it hit me like, I don't even want the information from some tainted ass information that's going to change up her image, knowing good and the hell well where the location was. You couldn't, it ain't even, I mean, the science ain't even supporting that. What type of madness? So let's be really careful about the sources, because see, if they go taint it like that and shift it and turn it into something in their image, you need to get that shit to side eye for real. I'm here to tell you, I get that shit to side eye. I ain't entertaining it. I ain't got time for it. It's not true. It's not sound. And if you go start off lying right here, you go keep on lying to me, I have no trust for you after that shit. So once I see you put an image of the goddess Queen Sheba as a white woman with blonde hair, with black hair, with brown hair, with red hair, I don't give a shit what color hair she is. If you don't have the correct image of this goddess in this particular day and age and time, and you still want to hold some shit like that, you can keep your information as far as I'm concerned. Moving forward, I had to go there. She was a very, very wealthy and powerful ruler over in the land of Ethiopia. Over in the African continent, there's been some dispute about it being in Yemen. And it just really, when I heard that, it just really gave me the goddess Yemen Yah vibes, because I don't know for sure. And like I said, I'm going to sit with that a little bit longer if there's a connection with this Black Madonna, Yemen Yah, and the goddess Queen Sheba. However, let me keep moving. She gets depicted as a demon in some traditions, right? This is the reason why I had to go there. She got hairy legs and legs that look like a goat and all of this type of foolishness and everything. And racism is just so twisted, right? And regardless of the money, regardless of the status and the wealth that she's obtained, in this world, money just can't hide you. You just can't be hid. The racism is real in these streets. And so they seen this sister, this woman, she's doing her thing. And she's making a lot of progress, the progressive moves out here in these streets. She's doing the damn thing. And then the haters, the alligators, the naysayers, the player haters is all out here coming up with, she a demon. We don't know about her. She got legs of a goat. She can't be human. She a man and a woman, whatever. All of these bullshitting stories. But I connected with her really and got a chance to get the real spill on how this story went. And so she heard about King Solomon and all of his wisdom, because her quest was for wisdom as well. She sat up under many teachings. That wisdom that she acquired was what aided her in being so successful as she was. Being a woman then, you really needed to be clever. Being a woman, you really needed to be clever in order to navigate successful leadership. Leadership is masculine energy. And masculine energy is in most female leaders because leadership energy is masculine. Sip on that. For all of these cats that say any women are showing up too masculine, remember there's a balance in life. We ain't saying that we need to just show up, whatever. But let's keep it $150 out here. But Solomon heard about her and her leadership, and that she and her people, they worship the sun out there, and he completely disapproved of that. We talking about the Solomon from the Bible, the Solomon that wrote Proverbs, Psalms, and Song of Solomon, right? He disapproved. It was no good for him. And he was convinced that his path to God was the only way, was the only connection to the Most High, to the source energy. And so he sent her a letter and he asked her, y'all need to stop all that sun worship over there. I don't know what that's all about, but you need to get your life together and get right and follow the teaching that I was accustomed to. So Goddess Queen Sheba, Bilquis, she thought that this was really cute, that he was just so fired up, so passionate. She knew his heart was in the right place. She thought that was real cute. She thought that was very special that he had that connection. She ignored him on that old smack that he was talking. But she sent him a few gifts as a sign of respect because she didn't have time for that. She knew that religion was a limitation, but was very, very intrigued by his conviction. Very intrigued by his conviction. But Solomon, he didn't receive none of her gifts, right? And instead was more interested in her religious conversion. So he began to send her some threats. But we going to war. Listen, y'all go get right with the God that I'm worshiping, or we going to war. I ain't having this. So when the goddess Queen Sheba realized that this religious thing was really that deep, wow, it's that deep, fam, bro. It's like that, like you worried about how we living, and you way over there. It's that deep for you, for real. All of these stories about how wise this man was, how smart, how intelligent he was. So she decided to pay him a visit, just to see if he was as wise as the word on the street said he was. Because he might just be worthy of interest at the end of the day. Creating a child that would be great. Because she was ready to have a child. So she packed up an impressive entourage of gold and spices and cattle and servants and headed on out to meet old Solomon. And when she arrived, he was so impressed with her beauty and her splendor and her majestic energy. And he was also told by some djinn about her being this goat person that had hairy goat legs. You don't want to deal with that, man. Let me tell you, bro. Let me tell you something, man. You don't want none of that. You don't want none of that. She got hairy legs. They look like a ghost leg. She ain't even human, man. I heard the word is she a demon, man. You don't want none of that. He wanted to see if that was all true. So he was going to create an opportunity. He was intrigued. He was a man that went for his, Solomon was, indeed. The word on the street is that he had 300 wives and 700 concubines. He was about that. Ain't nobody turned Solomon down. He was the man. That's the word on the street. So Solomon invited the goddess queen in, and they sat around and they talked for hours. And she gave him some riddles to decipher just to see where he was at. And he did that. And she was thoroughly impressed by him. She also noted that he had some quirks. He had some different values. That religion thing, he kept pushing that. She knew that it would please him to convert to his system. And so she did. She gave it to him. It was important to him. It wasn't important to her, but it was important to him. Whatever. Sure. What you talking about made a lot of sense. I mean, he was making sense. There is some true wisdom in that Christian scripture. You can build with that. No doubt about it. So you say, okay, I convert to your system, whatever. She knew that more importantly, she was coming there for that exceptional child. She saw that he was very impressed, but he had a little bit of hesitation. And she wasn't really sure what that was all about. So after talking a little bit longer, he invited her into another room. And it was weird because that floor on the room that he invited her to, it looked like it was wet. Or like he was trying to get her to walk through some water, like it was a puddle of water. He didn't understand. He thought maybe this is another one of his traditions, whatever, you know. So she raised her dress up because she wore a long sweeping dress, so she came showing up. She was about the business of showing up. And she lifted up her dress, all of the finest material. She didn't want that getting all damaged and whatnot. Revealing her legs. And he looked at her. He was shocked and relieved, all at the same time. And she knew right then, oh, here we go, this mug. He done heard about this goat leg bullshitting rumor. So she laughed about that to herself, acting like she wasn't hip to none of that. But then he was upset because she had hair on her legs. Said it was a terrible thing for a woman to have hair on her legs. What type of madness is this? You women don't have no hair on their legs. I just don't know what this is about. You got to get rid of that. She didn't shave her legs. It wasn't important to her. But it was important to him. So she shaved her legs for him. Whatever. Petty details. And she thought to herself, wow, such an intelligent man. focused on some simple shit and bothered by simple little shit. Whatever. Because she was focused on the bigger picture, the seed. And she got that shit. Turned him out. Up, down, all around, even sideways. She rocked this world, y'all. And she hung out with Solomon. And they spent some magical nights together. Passionate embraces. What a time it was. And she hung out with him until she was sure that she got pregnant. And when she found out that she was pregnant, she knew it was time to go. See, she didn't want to have no life with him. She wasn't trying to raise up her child in his teaching. I mean, it was cool for him because he was a righteous man. He really believed in that. This was his system, and it was really working for him. But what might be true for you may not be true for me. But I'm going to let you have your truth in your way because this is important to you. But I ain't finna have this life where you make it important for me. She wasn't trying to raise her child up in this teaching. And once she realized that he wasn't interested in any other viewpoints but his own, in all of his wisdom, he lacked tolerance. So she rolled out and went back to her life, back to her reality, back to life, back to reality, her sovereignty, her majesty. She had a plan, an intention. And she went up out there and she made it happen. She was victorious in this whole situation. She avoided a war. She had a really beautiful and magical time when she spent with him. She was very impressed by his intelligence, his wit, his whole majestic energy thing he had going on for himself. Oh, he had a lot of swagger going on in these streets. She had a beautiful time with him. What made her victorious is because she was willing to bend on some things that was important to him, to many people. But she had an understanding that was different. She understood that to God, there's more than one way to righteousness. He couldn't bend on that one. So she met him right where he was at. The goddess Queen Sheba. Bilquis. Now I know we might get some folks that will definitely dispute what it is that I'm saying right here. Whatever. But if you really want to make this connection, you can go back and check in the scriptures and in the teachings where they talk about the goddess Queen Sheba and Solomon's child, Melanick, returning years later. And he welcomed them with open arms. He too did not have any respect for that teaching. Because he took one of the sacred texts up out of there. Because it wasn't important to him. It wasn't as sacred to him as it was to his father. Because he wasn't brought up in that teaching. Oh, yeah, he knew that was important to him. But had he been converted to Judaism, as many believe that the goddess queen was, it would have been important to him too. Not saying that they don't hold a heavy respect for those religious systems, because we do hold them with respect. This is sacred to folks. But in his youth, he did not recognize just how sacred that was, because he did not have that understanding. So with that, I hope, it is my prayer that we are able to take these lessons from the goddess Queen Sheba and learn how we can get along and not hold so firmly to the way that we think it's supposed to be, the way it should be, what the teaching is. When someone sees something different than you do, and you may disagree with them, but you're willing to entertain them because you see how important that is to them. So many of us in this conscious community, we want to beat up the folks that's still on white Jesus, beat up the folks that's still in the nation, that's, doing the men on one side, women on one side type of congregation, joining whatever. We want to beat up all of these organized systems, but these are sacred traditions to these cats. This is important to them. And so when somebody wants to come and they want to preach the gospel of how you need to be saved, when they trying to turn you on to something righteous, they trying to get you hip to some salvation in these streets, they don't mean no harm. This is where they're at. And we, as those individuals that have more expansive perspectives on our spiritual practices, we have to be big enough to allow them to have their say. You already know where you stand. They get to have their say. They get to have their say. Let me see. Let me pull a card from my Kim deck just to see if there's a little something that we can go with before I close this out, because I ain't got nothing else to say. Body talk. Body talk. When this card comes up, this is all about inner vibes, healing, and cycles of growth. This right here is a card that's really asking you to really tap in and pay attention. Be in tune with the star player in you. Because what we focus on out here, y'all, that's what grows. You got to have love for your whole self. When we understand the power of love, it overcomes, it transcends. And when we are tapped in and tuned in to that love frequency, we will have the courage to transcend, to transform all of that other shit. No doubt about it. So with that, I'm going to call it today. I just wanted to stop through and bring that message of the Goddess Queen. Peace and light. Peace and love. Oh!